For the Love of Rugby, brought to you by Blackheart. For those who ruck, maul, and never back down. Now, Coley, we are in the virtual studio, and you got a pair of headphones on. What's going on? Cauliflower ear causing you issues?
No, Ben. I wasn't at Twickenham today. I've been doing a sideline as a DJ, so I've come straight off the decks here. That's why I'm wearing my headphones.
I like it. Just own it, mate. Own it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm doing. Not the fact that my magical virtual earpiece is playing up. No. I'm DJing from now on.
Maybe you're getting ready to DJ at Jamie George's 100 cap celebration party, Coley. How good to see him get that, mate. What a reception. What a bloke. What are your thoughts, mate? He's joined the 100 club.
Oh, yeah, really pleased for him. I think he was outstanding today. He, he's been one of England's... Well, you get 100 caps, you've got to be class. And you look at, say, how he's played in Sarries and how he's won stuff there, led England. I mean, Jamie's always one of the blokes that gets rolled out. In England's bad times, he gets pushed out from the media and has to answer questions and sort of never really gets to celebrate the good times in some regards. So I'm happy for him. I think he's really pleased for him and his family. I know he sort of talked, didn't he, briefly about how when he sort of got the captaincy taken off him, pulled his hamstring, he was kind of thought about he wouldn't play the Six Nations, but I think he should be very pleased that he did. And everyone's surely his friends and family were very proud of him, and rightly so, because he's a brilliant player and has been a brilliant servant for England rugby. I
do want to highlight his little handling, mate. The offloads. England getting the offloads away, Jamie sort of letting the offload off. How lovely, mate. I did also have a laugh because for all his experience, you think his experience would be enough to say, if I'm one-on-one with Kapuatsu, like, call for help, mayday. Like, I know the guy's electric, but that did make me laugh. Poor old Jinxie, mate. He was left on his own, bless him. Kapuatsu comes off banging off his left foot. Like, the acceleration on the guy, to be fair. And Vincent as well. Took some finishing, because Genji's rapid for a forward. Genji's quick. But Vincent just pulled away. And I think it was Marcus chasing as well and someone else. So fair play. Hell of a try. But I did laugh at old Jamie, bless him. That's not what you want, to be left in space one-on-one with Kapuatsu, who is like one of the best sort of jinkers and broken field runners that is in the game. Yeah, no, I'm not.
I'm going to stand up for Jamie here.
It's not his fault. Where's the help?
No, that came... Well, that came from a... Was it a free kick at the line out? I think England banged it off the field and Italy took a quick line on Kapuatsu. And I think it's like, literally, Jamie's worked from where the line out was. Somehow Jamie's, well, not somehow, because he works really hard and he's a really good player, but he sprinted up in the front line. He's alongside, I think, Dingwall's one of the centres, might be Daly's outside of him. And actually, Ben Earl gets blocked on the inside. Lamoureux actually does a lovely little block on Ben Earl, and it just creates enough space for Kapuatsu to go, I'm having it, in steps, and Jamie gets sort of semi-hung out to dry. But also, I think there's Ches in behind there and Genshin. Like, you actually look at it, I think Jamie works so hard to get in that front line. He gets exploited, but I'd actually say he's the last person to blame because, Lamoureux does a nice blocking job on Jamie's inside, which gives the space for Kapuatsu to actually run at. And then secondly, he's one of the first forwards out there, whereas they actually look at the second line. There's a couple of guys there who aren't in the front line, so Jamie's outworked them. So yeah, I'm putting none of the blame on Jamie. I'm standing up for my front row brother here, not having it. He's good with me.
Yeah, nothing Jamie can do about that. I thought he had a terrific game on his 100th, mate. I was there. The reception he got was so deserved, even when he came off the plaudits. So, mate, what an innings at 100, and there's more in him, which is awesome. I thought he had a terrific game. Loved the offload, loved his energy. What a day to sort of remember it. As I say, Coley, we're not going after him. It just was a funny moment where you just think, when you're in space and you just, at that moment, oh God, where is my support against Kapuatsu? But talking of front row unions, Coley, what's your take on Will Stewart's little sidestep?
The out, in, out, leave the hooker in the dust.
Yeah. How good?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, he sort of had a ball to nothing and literally say out, in, out. Hooker falls over and just powers through. Yeah, Will Stewart is, he's a freak of an athlete. So the size of the bloke, the way he moves, the power he's got. I think you see clips of him on the internet with the gym strength he's got. But his ability to shift for such a 130 kilo man is phenomenal. And I think we got rolling today. And I think he, his step was a nice, how do we put it? It was a nice thing to see. As England seemed to play a bit more expansive, it seems that your words have pressured England. Your words and your words alone have pressured England into expanding their attacking repertoire. What were your, how do you feel about that?
Coley, I'm not taking any responsibility, but the intent was fantastic and I really enjoyed it. Honestly, I really enjoyed England's desire to move the ball. I'm just going to give you some stats. So looking at Sage Insights, Finn Smith passed the ball 29 times today. We've been roughly around sort of 17, 16 through the 10, so much more ball movement from him. England passed a total of 1,035.3 metres. Over the first 3 rounds, they averaged 653.3 metres. And this one I really like as well is England's pass-to-kick ratio was 7.9, the highest for England in this tournament. Just an example, England versus Ireland was 3.4, Coley. So loads of intent, mate, and the stats back it up.
Yeah, I think I was pleased to see England attack. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. What's the word? I think there were times inside their own half where a better team initially would have punished them. Like they were sort of trying to play inside their own 22 18, where it's just a bit like we saw yesterday with the French, just bang it off. But when they actually got into the positions around the middle of the field, England attacked well and saw some interplay. We talk about the sort of shape off 9, but the forwards were tipping it, forwards were pulling out the back. I think it's Freeman's try where Elliot Daly sort of kicks it into the corner for Freeman, reads it. Like that's sort of interplay with the forwards, pull out the back, play to him. Like England's ability and willingness to sort of expand and have a go at the Italians was it was good to see. I thought there was a bit in the first half where it was a bit like, this is going to, I think Slytome, it was in his own half and sort of flung it out the back, and it was just a bit like, this is going to become a bit of a sevens game. Because sometimes I think like with the Italians, when you score early, you kind of then start and they score, it become a bit sort of to and fro. But I thought actually England, yes, they risked it, but they sort of actually, they weren't too loose, if you see what I mean, actually regathered it and played in the right areas of the field. And when they got chances, say some of the interplay, some of the offloading, it was brilliant. So I think overall, I think it shows, it's credit to England because I think they were able to adapt their game to the opposition. Do I expect them to play like that next week in Wales? No, I don't. But at least they're expanding it, trying it in games where you can try it and see where you can go, because then it's in your armoury rather than not being in your armoury. At least if it's in your armoury, you can call upon it at some point. Whereas if you never try it, you won't. So, I was impressed with England and the ability to actually try to play. They played.
There was bags of intent and ambition, wasn't there? And I know that, as you say, against a better team, like they won't necessarily get away with some of the things they did. And for instance, there was a kickoff, didn't they? And they shifted to the edge and it got to Elliot Daly in the wide channels. Now, at this point, he'd been moved to 13. And if you had a right-footed fullback, for instance, then I think you'd been able to exit because the ball came from left to right, so he wasn't able to then exit. So there's just like little things like that. But in a whole, mate, I just enjoyed the fact that they were run first, attack first mindset, and on the back of that, they could always bail out on a kick if they needs to. But as I say, it was nice. It's been crying out for in terms of there's been a will, including myself. I've been very I think that England can play more than what we've seen. I've been one of those people that have been saying this, and I think today was a huge step forward in that, and I was really, really encouraged by what I saw. Now, as you mentioned, Coley, are they going to do the same against Wales? Well, no. They'll be more pragmatic because that's the right thing to do. You're going away in the Principality Stadium there, you're not going to be quite as open as they were today, but this was the perfect game to do it, and I'm just pleased that they had the intent and they had the structure and the shapes enabled to do that. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't. Was the intent perfect? Absolutely. And that was just really encouraging for me.
Yeah. One thing I would say is our knowledge of inside the England team is I don't think England played more today based on media pressure. Just going to put it out there. I think it's probably been, they probably have heard the noise, but I reckon the first 3 games you're going to play the way they played and make it tight, because ultimately Ireland and Scotland and France are probably ranked ahead of them and are bigger teams. So I think England will play that way anyway. And I think actually Italy's probably the game where they've looked at it, where England have planned probably from the beginning of the tournament to expand their game a bit and play a bit more. They probably haven't played as much as they wanted in the first games, but you know what I mean? I think we probably have to, I'm sure there'll be some people in the media this week who'll be excited saying they listened to what we said and listened to the fans and did this, and it's probably actually, I don't think they did. I think they probably it's all part of the plan. Now, it might have done. I might stand totally wrong, but I would say it's more of what the plan's in place rather than responding to outside noise. But it was good to see. And I think it shows, I think England, as an England fan, you can be positive in the fact that England are trying to play. We talk about South Africa and they're expanding their game and playing different ways, playing at the back shapes. So they just go in, because South Africa beat pretty much every team in the world, just scrum ball, kick. Whereas England, I think, have sort of played that way against the bigger oppositions, who have probably favoured to beat them. So England have dragged them down into a one-score game. And I think against not lesser teams, but you're probably not going to try and expand your game and play fluid rugby against New Zealand or South Africa or France. Whereas, actually, these are the games where you want to play and expand your repertoire, and then you sort of increase your abilities. So when you do come against opposition in the future, you can mould it all together. There are my thoughts. And I was positive in that regard. I think it's smart from England not just play one way, they're trying to play a different way because it will help them. The bigger picture in the World Cup and stuff, it expands everyone's abilities, and it's going to be good for English rugby in the long run. Because they could have won today, just scrum ball, kick it. I mean, everyone would have been bored, but they wouldn't have probably learned anything about themselves, whereas actually today they've learned stuff because they've moved the ball and tried to shift it, and I think that was good.
I'll tell you what we did learn, Coley, was Fraser Dingwall, and we previewed it, myself and Ant, and we said that this guy's like the glue of a team. He's the guy that makes other people around him look really, really good. And he's sort of like that error-free player that just does his role really, really well, and others almost thrive within the way that he does it. So the part that I want to just pick up on in particular, I was a big fan of him. I'm really pleased he got his opportunity. I thought he took it, definitely. But there was just one instance where Slightholme scores his try in the left-hand corner, and England on the attack, and the ball gets pulled out, Finn Smith to Fraser. It's a long pass ball in there, which invites Brex, the Italian centre, to race out the line and try and shut the play down. So he's doing the right thing. He's trying to shut the play down. And Fraser Dingwall, just his ability, and it's the simple things done so well, and that's what makes great players, is his ability to hold his feet, catch the ball nice and long, and transfer straight across his body all in one go, whilst being under a huge amount of pressure from Brex, to put it just in front of Marcus Smith, who then picks off the next defender, and obviously Slightholme scores in the corner. Now, you look at it and you think, well, it's an overlap and it's easy. It's not easy. Like Fraser Dingwall ability to catch, pass, distribute, control his feet, and all those little bits was absolutely key. And that was just like one snippet of all these little things that he brought today. I was really pleased for him. I thought he had a great performance. And as I say, like he's one of those guys that if you play with him, you really appreciate him because he makes others around him look good. I want to ask you about Big Red, lover of the pod, Ollie Chesham, MOM, mate. I thought he was outstanding as well.
He certainly was. I thought he saw his power in the ball carry, defensively, line out, he was getting aerial pressure and took some balls. So yeah, it was quite a... sometimes it's a tough one for man of the match, I think, because everyone sort of played well. And but no, I thought Big Red was, as he played he went the distance. He was a very deserved man of the match. I thought Elliot Daly was also with a shout. I thought he responded well. Obviously, moved into the centre early doors, but I think he just gives England that ability to. He steps up to first receiver, or he's happy out the back of a shape of the, let's say forward shape is when you've got say three forwards in a pod. He's happy to stand behind that and catch, cool the ball out the back and shift the point of attack and did some lovely kicks and stuff like that. And he just looked like a player. How do I put it? I'm going to say this in the nicest way. He looked like the grown-up in the room. In England trying to play expansive rugby, he just looked like he had a bit of time. He just made the right decisions. He didn't panic. If he was under pressure, there's fair play. Brexham and Cello, they will come out the line and spot you and hit you hard. And there's a couple with Elliot Daly Elliot sort of gets whacked out the back, but, he's casual. He places the ball, gets back to his feet, picks it up again, and just those kind of smart footballing decisions, which are tiny things, but I think that Elliot showed his class today. I've always known he's got class. We've known he's got class, but I think, those bits today actually really just helped England. It just looked good. You know what I mean? He was just, I'm going to say, I wouldn't say the adult in the room. He is the oldest person in their back line, but, he just was a solid presence in their back line. And that's what you sometimes need.
He just looked like someone that been there, done it, knew how to handle it, and just looked incredibly calm and clear in terms of what he needed to do. Even the kick he does for Freeman, that's, it's one thing seeing the space, it's another thing executing it. And it's just perfectly weighted down the 5 metre channel, recognition of space and just well executed. And as you say, Coley, I thought going from fullback to slotting into 13, I just thought he did a great job and he showed his class. Ant spoke really highly of him on Friday, as did I. We all knew he'd be good, and I thought he just showed it. There's just, you cannot underestimate experience, been there, done it, and he absolutely did that. But not all good news for England, unfortunately, because poor old Ollie Lawrence was sending him our well wishes and a speedy recovery. Of course, he was on the podcast, love of the pod, and wishing him a really speedy recovery. Looked like a nasty one, that. So, Ollie, get well soon, mate. That was a big loss, actually, for England. That's really sad to see, because there's a guy that's been playing great rugby over the 4 rounds. So, big shame for Ollie.
It certainly was. So you saw his abilities literally first carry of the game, wasn't it? I think offloaded to Ben Earl out of the tackle, and you could see Ollie was looking. Today's one of these days he was primed to go off, and unfortunately he was robbed of that. So yes, wish him all the best, and hopefully whatever he's done, it's a speedy recovery.
Absolutely. What about Coley? Like days like today, because I think some people will also, I just want to touch on it, some people will say, oh, it got a little bit stagnant, maybe last 20 minutes got a bit scrappy. I think that's totally natural. Like we've played in games like this, Coley, where the game was essentially done after 10 minutes into the second half. Like the first half was close and it was entertaining, it was good. We saw some great rugby from both teams. And then England sort of blew them away, obviously Marcus's try, Curry's try as well, and the game was then done. And it kind of naturally has that sort of drop off in intensity, which it did, and it got a little bit disjointed and scrappy. But England won't mind that. I think as whole, if you're England, you're coming in off that field, you come in the change room saying, job done. You got your 4 points. You got your 4 tries, so you got your 5 points. You've won. You've been more cohesive in attack. You've done some really nice things. Yes, like there's some bits that still need to work on. When isn't there things to work on? But as a whole, you're coming in there feeling very much like job done, well done, boys. And all attention's turned to Wales. Like, get your recovery done. Of course, England have got a 6-day turnaround, which is so like your recovery and all that. I think everyone would be pretty sensible, in terms of just being diligent, get the recovery done, and just sort of focus turns really quickly to Wales. I'll actually be amazed if England really do much a review against Italy. I think they'll probably look at some bits, a couple of maybe defensive bits, a couple of maybe attacking shapes. But other than that, I think eyes will and heads and minds will turn to Wales very, very quickly, given it's a 6-day turnaround. I'm
just trying to think off the top of my head. I'm going to give you a short, sharp review of not my thoughts, but some things. Speaking about Marcus Smith there, did he apologise to Finn Smith, do you reckon, because he dived in and didn't go under the sticks? It looked like he was a bit almost saying sorry, but I don't know. Secondly, I thought England's edge defence, we talked about that, didn't we? Scotland pulled them wide. I was partly surprised that Italy didn't go wide, off set piece, but I think England were leaving Curry out wide, so it'd be interesting to see his stats and whether they're sort of down. I thought he was outstanding in attack. His offloading, carrying was brilliant, but defensively he was quiet, but that's probably because he was on the edge. Thirdly, I think England will be probably slightly upset with that try they scored at the end. You talk about the energy being sapped out. I thought that was the final Italian try was probably, the replacements will be a bit miffed with that. But on the whole, England will be happy. The other thing I'll say is the atmosphere was good at the start. It seemed a bit flat second half, but this is where I think without bagging on England supporters, the Twickenham crowd, is sometimes there's a lull. And almost like in England, English crowds respond to the team. Whereas you look at somewhere like France, the team responds to the crowd. And sometimes the crowds, you know what I mean? They would get yamped up and almost add energy to the team. So I think sometimes I feel like the crowds in England or England games can be reliant upon the team doing something. Whereas actually, if the crowd gets going, it can add to the team. Just my thought.
I like that thought, Coley.
Nobody's fault. I'm not slagging anyone off. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, there's always an expectation sometimes that like you have to be entertained, whereas in France, it's almost like we're fucking here to party and there's some rugby going on.
I agree, Coley. Totally agree, mate. So that's the England versus Italy review done. Another weekend of the Six Nations. One more to go. Cannot wait. Super Saturday. We've also got very exciting plans ahead of the Women's Six Nations. So yeah, plenty to look forward to. Please like this video, subscribe, and we shall see you very soon.